This game has been playing itself for the last 30 minutes, and somehow I keep coming back to it day after day after day. This is Dragon Traveler, a new idle RPG that knows exactly what it is. And honestly, I kind of respect that. I've played other idle RPGs in the past, and they all try to lure you in with the fake allure of a deep story or trying to masquerade as a console-style game to bring in new players. But Dragon Traveler isn't trying to hide anything. It's about making the numbers go up, collecting waifus with large, assets, and even light dating sim aspects. But what is so compelling about a game that literally plays itself? Why do people play these games, and why have I continued to check into this game daily? Well, you're about to find out. Special thanks to Dragon Traveler for sponsoring this video. Its open beta is now live for iOS, Android, and PC via Steam. Click the link in the description to start playing today. So what exactly is Dragon Traveler? Well, it's an idle RPG, and if you're not familiar with idle RPGs, essentially they're games where you set up a team and you kind of just let it go and it plays itself. As you defeat groups of enemies, you'll collect loot and level up your team. Occasionally you'll get enough currency from playing the game to get new characters to join your team, and here in Dragon Traveler there is a ridiculous amount of non-story content to farm materials. I've been playing this game for weeks and was never given any currency by the developers and didn't spend any money, and honestly I haven't felt the need to spend a dime. I got every character I wanted to, and if I log in once a day, I got showered with loot and items to level up my team. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually shocked the development team has been this generous. And what I do like about the story that's in there is that there are these short little beats every chapter, and they're fun, quirky, and lighthearted. It's almost like a little rom-com that you can tune into a little bit here and there, but not gonna be a giant time investment. And like I mentioned earlier, there are light dating sim aspects. And here's what I've loved about my time with this game, genuinely. What's cool is I can check in for less than like 30 minutes a day for my dailies, do some battles, level up my team, try for some new characters, and then I can just leave it alone. It's very low stress, low commitment, but if I wanted to engage with all of its content for hours and hours, I could. There's plenty to dive into. There's like these big bosses where you have to have bigger groups of enemies. There's like a guild thing where you're constantly exploring a map. There's other little dungeons you can explore to get more loot. There is just so much you can do in this game. And honestly, usually what I do is I'll check in, get all my daily rewards, and then kind of just let it play by itself while I eat my breakfast. Now you think about an idle RPG and you think, it's probably got low production values, it's nothing great, it's just something to waste your time. But here's something about this game that caught me off guard, and that was its production value. It's genuinely pretty great here. The animations and combat are pretty awesome. While exploring the world map, there's a lot going on, there's a slick UI, and even the title screen here, well, it's obviously very hypnotic, and it's pretty high quality. But there's a lot of things like the story cutscenes. I'm actually kind of surprised how hard they went with the story cutscenes. They're very well animated, they're pretty stunning. And overall, I was just really surprised that they would go all in for an idle RPG. Genuinely, I don't think this game has any right looking this good. And I'll be honest with you, I've actually played a lot of other idle RPGs and none of them look or feel this good. Seriously, I want you to go look for yourself, go on the App Store or go on Steam or go try these other games that call themselves idle RPGs and compare it to Dragon Traveler. And of course, it does have top tier character designs, many inspired weirdly enough by historical or mythical characters. Like you have King Arthur, but it's a female. You have Anubis, you have Fenrir, sort of like this wolf character. There's a lot of different characters you can choose from. And speaking of which, let's address the waifu in the room. This team clearly is not trying to hide or shy away from a particular character design style. They pretty much all have gigantic assets. There are some male characters and some monsters, but let's be real. People that play these character collector RPGs don't want these big fat burly men with beards on their team, although they have those too. They want attractive female characters, and here there's some genuinely cool ones. One of my favorites was this girl named Herman. She's kind of a hunter character and she fights with axes and serves as a tank on your team. Like I mentioned earlier, there's Arthur, literally a female version of King Arthur, and she has her own funny story chapter in the game, which was cool. And maybe my personal favorite is White Tiger. She's this sort of monk slash fist fighter DPS character. She can sneak and attack in the back, and we'll get to that a little bit later. And like I said, Dragon Traveler is not being subtle about it, but the genre as a whole really isn't either. But here, at least they're being upfront and honest about it, and again, I kind of respect that. Here's something else I really appreciate about the character collector aspect. Now, most games like this are very stingy with in-game currency, and after you get hooked, you almost feel like you need to pay to get the characters you want. Here, I have so many cool characters that I can't even use them all. I am constantly showered with currency and summoning tickets, and I actually have my dream team of the 6 characters I've wanted, and I've only been playing for a few weeks. And what's nice about the summoning ticket system is that after a certain number of tries, you can actually make a wish list of the ones that you want, so eventually you do get who you want. It's just a matter of time. Now let's tackle the question I posed at the beginning of the video. How is a game that literally plays itself fun? Like, why does this game work when nothing is happening? I think it's something about how the game slowly introduces you to its systems. Even on the last story chapter, which could take dozens of hours to get to, there's new pieces of content and ways to upgrade your team. Now, at the beginning of the game, there's this cool introduction to the world and the characters. It's pretty funny and has a lighthearted vibe. And again, the world is gorgeous. I love the art style. It's kind of a very simple but crisp anime art style. And the game slowly teaches you its mechanics and how team alignment works. And as you progress through the game, you want to become more efficient. Each time I added a new party member or got some new piece of gear, I kept thinking to myself, how could this add to my team synergy and how could I battle more efficiently? A lot of the side content is pretty challenging, so even the slightest increase in power feels really satisfying. Eventually, the game shifts from micromanaging every little attack of your team to more of a team management simulator. You're trying to min-max the best team possible to take on the harder challenges the game has to offer. And actually playing the game and activating ultimate abilities feels much less important, and you become more hooked on the team upgrade aspect. I feel like it kind of boils RPGs down to their barest essence. You're getting stronger by grinding and eventually defeating a strong enemy. And I get that that might sound sacrilegious to RPG fans, and I totally understand that. But again, this game isn't meant to be a traditional console RPG. It's meant to be something you check in once a day for a little bit when you have some free time, or engage with for maybe an hour or two if you really want to grind and engage with the extra content. And for me, this was the perfect game to play after a long workday. Something where I could just feel a sense of progression, but it's also mindless. I don't need to engage with it deeply, but it still entertains me. But for those who do want to engage with the game deeply, there's room for that too. Team alignment really matters, especially for the harder fights. You have your long range and assassin type characters, for example, that can be put in positions to take out critical enemy opponents. For bosses and harder content, I always like to position my team manually. For example, I always had a character like White Tiger take out healers or long range casters. It made the fights way easier. And also, you can control special attacks manually instead of setting them up in a particular order, and using them at just the right time makes for exciting moments in longer, challenging fights. But if you're watching this and you're like my regular audience that mostly plays traditional console JRPGs or RPGs, why would this game be for you? Well, based on my analytics, most of my audience tends to be 30 years or older, meaning you guys probably have a busier schedule. I just turned 40, so I know I do. So this type of game is perfect for when you want to play something but don't have the energy to think too hard or don't have a ton of time. A game where you feel that RPG progression of leveling up, getting new loot and characters, but don't have hours to spend doing a few side quests. And also, this game is unapologetically anime. So for anyone that's big into lighthearted anime or anime style antics, I think you'll dig this too. Once again, Dragon Traveler's open beta is now live and free to try. And if you think this game might be for you, click the link in the description below and give it a try. It helps me out a ton, and you don't have to spend a dime on the game. So really, you got nothing to lose. Thanks for watching something a little bit different than what I usually make. I had fun putting this one together. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.